in the Mishnah, we really should start from Mishnah. You can based on the bottom. Ain't goes in Ta'anis al Tibur b'tchila b'chamishi. One is not allowed to make the first Tibur Ta'anis in a series on a Thursday. In order not to that the price shouldn't go through the roof. You always start the first three fast. Sheni, Chamishi, V'Sheni. Monday, Thursday, Monday. Now, Sholosh Tani Yishnios. The second set, however, Tanakama says, and Tanakama is not attributed to any one Tana. It just says it generically. Chamishi, Sheni, Chamishi. Rabbi Yossi he says, Kushem Sheni Rishonos b'Chamishi, Kach lo Shnios lo Achronos. You can never start a set on Thursday. Even if you already had one set of Monday, Thursday, Monday, the next set can't be Thursday, Monday, Thursday. You can never start like that. Now, Shimon, starting the Gemara again, Shimon Bar Ba said, Asa Uvdo Kumi Rabbi Yochanan, an episode came from Rabbi Yochanan, V'orei Rabbi Yossi, Paskin like Rabbi Yossi, that you always have to start on Monday. You can never start a series from a Thursday. Rabbi Elazar was upset. Omar, he said, Shavkin Stoma, Rabbi Yochanan forsook the Stam Mishnah, meaning the beginning of Mishnah, which is not attributed to anybody, and he went like the Sefer of the Mishnah, which is a Yechidah, which is the Asyochi, that of Rabbi Yossi. So Ashkach Tani lo Rabbi Chia b'Sher Meir, so he found that Rabbi Chia said, name Rabbi Meir, that in other words, that the ratio of the Mishnah here is Rabbi Meir. In other words, it's also Das Yochid. No, so it's one-on-one. So therefore, God Shama, the title of Rabbi Chia b'Sher Meir, when he heard Rabbi Chia said, name Rabbi Meir, Amr said, Yod Saba, very well does the old man, Rabbi Yochanan, Yada, know, parking Amar to answer of himself, and it's particularly because it's one-on-one. Nevertheless, in a later generation, Raimona boy kumi Rabbi Yudan. Raimona asked in front of Rabbi Yudan, located on Rabbi Chizkiah, the Rabbi Chizkiah said, Rabbi Avosei, B'Shem Lezer, name Rabbi Lezer, Kol Makom Shoshana, Rabbi Machlokes. Anywhere where Rabbi taught us Machlokes, the Chazar B'Shana Stam, and then he mentioned it again without attribution, Halacha Stam, that halacha is like the Stam Mishnah. Now, it's interesting. This is not how machlokas v'achakach stam, right? The machlokas here is in the Mishnah. Machlokas v'achakach stam, the way we understood it in the Bavli, the way the Yerushalmi ultimately will understand it, is where you have a machlokas in Mishnah A, and later on in B, machlokas B, in Mishnah B subsequently, only one opinion appears, and that opinion is quoted without attribution. That's called the machlokas. First, there's a machlokas quoted, and then later on, it's repeated in stam form without attribution to any specific Tana. Where Rebbe does that, he means to paskin like that opinion, which he reiterates again without attribution. Okay, because that's what a stam mishnah is. That attribution means that's meant to be the halacha. But here, it's not like that. We have a stam opinion, that's the Tanakama, and Rabbi Yosef's opinion, which argues on that. Okay? Nevertheless, the way Rabbi Mona understood it at this point, he thought, well, it's a stam mishnah, right? Tanakama is not identified. Since Tanakama is not identified, this is like it's a stam in a machlokas, not a machlokas v'achakach stam, but a stam in a machlokas. It was on the impression that required to paskin like the opinion stated in the ratio, which is stated without attribution. So Amar Lei, so responded. Rabbi Yehuda responded to Raimona, "V'lo Rabbi," he said, "Who says that this Mishnah is a Mishnah of who said Rabbi learned the machlokas?" Dilma Choran, maybe somebody else learned the machlokas. Now, what is a very cryptic phrase? So it seems like this is what it means to say. We just learned. He said. Let me start that sentence over again. Ramona was obviously very strange. How could Ramona have thought it was machlokas v'achakach stam? It doesn't appear that way in our Mishnah, and the Mishnah appears just as right, stam, and then opinion which argues. So no. So what really Ramona's had, Ramona heard Rabbi Chia, that same which you brought down on top of the Rabbi Chia had said in the name of Rabbi Meir. that opinion which is attributed to Tanakama in our Mishnah, meaning that you can have to always start a fast series on a Monday. I'm sorry, you can start on a Thursday. No. You can start on Thursday. First, second series can be on a Thursday. So he heard that. So he heard Rabbi Chia had learned this Machlokas Rabbi and Rabbi Yossi. And then he saw in the Mishnah that Rebbe brought down the opinion of Rebbe Meir without attribution. So he said, it must be that Rebbe meant to paskin like this, because we have a machlokas, or no machlokas Rebbe and Rebbe Yossi, and yet Rebbe brought it down only as a stam. So therefore it must be almost like the stam. So the Rebbe Yudan said to him, you're confusing two things. You're confusing machlokas that Rebbe Chia cited in his Brisos, obviously Rebbe Chia was the author of the Brisos, with what Rebbe wrote in the Mishnah. Rebbe in the Mishnah brought this down not as a machlokas v'achar stam, but rather just as a machlokas in which one of the opinions was not attributed. It's true if you would look at it in a larger context, in conjunction perhaps with the Brisa, in which Rabbi Chia said it's a machlokas Rabbi and Rabbi Yossi, and then you looked at the Mishnah afterwards and saw the opinion of Rabbi is quoted without attribution, that he might be able to make the case that that's a machlokas v'achar stam. But that, in order to do that, you have to really take the Bryce of Rabbi Chia, combine it with the Mishnah of Rebbe, and you cannot do that. So that's what he's saying. Okay? So he says, who says that Rebbe's the one who said that machlokas, which Rabbi Chia noted, maybe it's Rabbi Chia and not Rebbe. So it says more, Mahen, says more, wait a minute, no, isn't that a Kavachomer? Which is a very strange Kavachomer. It's really Rabbi, we're defending Rabbi Mona's position. He says, Mahen. Mahen is like a language which starts a Kavachomer. What's this? In Adash, Rabbi Masnisa Machlokas. If where Rabbi found a Machlokas, right? Said over Machlokas. The Chazer Vishona Stam, and then he mentioned that I have something without attribution. Halacha Kistam. The halacha is like where it's without attribution. Aside the Loshkach Rebbe, Masim Machlokas, but so Rebbe did not find it necessary to say over the Machlokas. El Achem Shon Machlokas, others, meaning Rabbi Chia, said the Machlokas. For Rebbe Shon Stam, and the Rebbe wrote it down without attribution. Koshkin Shetei Halacha Kistam. So only the halacha should be like a stam. In other words, if Rebbe included the Machlokas in his Mishnayos, and then he did the Stam Mishnah, we passed by the Stam Mishnah. Surely where Rebbe did not include the machlokas in his Mishnayos, it's in the Brises somewhere, and Rebbe then brought it down stam, that Rebbe means the paskin like the stam. So therefore, Rebbe Mona's question is a legitimate question. Since I found in a Brises somewhere that it's a machlokas, and Rebbe brings it down. One of the opinions in the machlokas is a stam, so therefore it's paskin like the stam. So it says more of Asel Chizkiya. So this is getting out of hand. The Gemara says, Asel Chizkiya, Rabbi Yaakov, Barachim, Rishim, Bo, Shem, Elezer. And they said, "Vafilu achem shanu machloikes Rabbi Shona stam halacha gestam." Lemaisa, even if somebody else somebody said machloikes, and Rabbi said it's stam, they're really supporting Ramona's question. He's saying that even if other people learned machlokas and Rebbe learned that stam, halacha is like the stam. But lama moru ki yechida. So why do Rabbi Yochanan paskin like an individual? Right? So Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yanib, Rabbi Alka said, no, you misunderstood the whole point. Finally, you come to the obvious conclusion. I don't know why it took so long. When do we paskin like a stam mishnah? When the machlokas precedes the stam, right? Or when, or let's say even where the machlokas is in the Brisa, and then Rebbe has a stam mishnah. But here, the stam is comes first in the machlokas. In other words, it has to be a stam without being placed within the context of a machlokas. Then we paskin like the stam. Maybe that's true even if there was no previously cited machlokas in the Mishnayos, even the machlokas in the Brisos. That may be. But here the stam is not standing on its own. It's quoted, and then immediately Rabbi Yosef's argument is quoted thereafter. So therefore you can't paskin like the stam mishnah. Okay?
When does the term stam mishnah come out, Meir?
Always.
So
Generally speaking, paskin like the Stam Mishnah, like Reb Meir.
So here we have.
But this is not called a Stam. That's what he's saying.
Why? Because you have Rav Yossi.
Oh, sorry, you see, that which he states, Stam Mishnah Reb Meir doesn't ensure that we paskin like Reb Meir. Just means there are attributions of Reb Meir, and sometimes we paskin like him, right? Also, the exceptions rule. Even though Stam Mishnah is usually Reb Meir, it's not necessarily the case that a non-attributed Mishnah is always like Reb Meir. Okay? Again, yesh machlokas eitz Stam, lo b'dol Stam. Now we don't say lo like Stam. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Mishem Rabbi Yaakov said, Hadadat Omar biyochid, eitzel yochid. That which we say that halacha is like a Stam Mishnah. By then we say machlokas Stam, halakas Stam. That's only by when two individuals are arguing with each other. But if you have one individual who's arguing on Chachamim, it's interesting in that case, even if later on we find a Stam Mishnah to the effect that goes like the individual, we don't pass them like that individual. Which is an interesting klal I never saw it before.
Can you repeat that again?
If let's say I have Machlokes Rabbi X with Rabbanon, and later on Rebbe had a Stam Mishnah, which is paskin like Rabbi X without mentioning by name. So usually we say Machlokes v'achakach Stam halacha Stam. But in this case, since the Stam Mishnah goes like Rabbi X as opposed to Rabbanon, we don't paskin like him.
Because you always go over.
You go majority. So the principle of Yochi Karabim, Halacha Karabim overrules the principle of the Stam Mishnah, Halacha Stam Mishnah. Okay, that Machlokes Stam Halacha Stam Mishnah. Okay. Ain't goes in times Rosh Chodashim, Melochi Dal. Ain't goes in times Rosh Chodashim. You can't decree a tinus initially on Rosh Chodesh, on Chanukah and Purim. However, if you began a series before these holidays came about, mind you, and I'm sick, you don't stop for these holidays. Or Meir said, Avishar Gamliel, Aim Avsikin. Gamliel say you don't interrupt the series of tinus for these holidays. Moedu Shem Ashlim concedes that those days you only fast a half a day, not a full day. V'chein Tisha B'Av Shchayos B'Erev Shabbos, you only fast a half a day, not a full day. Tisha B'Av come out on Erev Shabbos nowadays? Of course not, right? What does fall on Erev Shabbos? Sarvatevis, right? Kama Yaschol, what is considered to be a beginning of a series that once you began the series, you can go through Chanukah and Purim Rosh Chodesh. Rabbi Mar Achas even had one fast so far. B'Yosef Mar Shtayim, you need to have two fasts. V'chein Novak Uvda Kod Rabbi, and they paskin like Rabbi that even one. The truth is the Bavli brings an opinion of three, but the Yerushalmi doesn't know about that. Three does make sense because that would be a Monday, Thursday, Monday, but the Yerushalmi doesn't bring it down. What do you lane when a fast comes out? Well, it sounds like the question is what do you lane on generic fast, but it seems the Mefarshim say what do you lane when the fast comes out on Rosh Chodesh. So Rabbi Yosef Mar Korim Brachsu Klos. They didn't read Vayichal on a tinus in Palestine, right? They read Brachos and Klos. This I don't know if it's Socha. I think it's the Arur Ha'isha Zeh, Arur Ha'isha Zeh, what it says in Nahar Grizim and Har Ve'eva, what these things. But it could be Tzedakah, I'm not sure what it means. One of those two. So, Amalei Ramona said, why do we read the Brachos so close? Begin Modi'itza and Du Tanisa, in order to tell them it's a tinus. Revin Ameil, they're lying on their stomachs. Now, I would have thought that meant they're hungry. But the Mefarshim don't say that. They say Nefilos Apayim. It means that even though it's Rosh Chodesh, no, we don't say it's just Apayim Rosh Chodesh, but since it's a tinus, so therefore you do Nefilos Apayim. So therefore, the question is, why don't we read Rosh Chodesh laning? You're worried that people are not going to realize it's a tinus? Don't know it's a tinus because they're doing Nefilos Apayim. So the Ravina may have laid into Tanisa. So you don't know it's a tinus. So he said you missed my point. It's true that I'm not concerned that they'll know it's a tinus. Radlo Diacha tells us to tell you Shekorim Brachos Klolos. That is the laning for a tinus, and the laning for a tinus supersedes Rosh Chodesh. It's not in order to remind them or anything like that, but just because that's the laning for a tinus. Rabbi Yehuda Kaputkai Omar Kum Rabbi Yossi B'Shem Rabbi Yehuda Berpozi. He said Korban Rosh Chodesh. He argued. He said we read Rosh Chodesh is laning, not the laning of a Ta'anis when Ta'anis comes to Rosh Chodesh. Korban Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda Berpozi. So Rabbi Yossi Merel to Yehuda Berpozi. Amalei, he said to him, "Atah shematim min avucha Adam Milsa. Did you hear this from your father, whose I guess name was Pazi? Did you hear this from him?" Amalei Abba Lo Amar Kain. No, my father didn't say this. Ela be'enei tav. But there was a certain place called Ein Tav where they used to go each month to be Kovea Rosh Chodesh. That's how they used to set the calendar. So I know that in Ein Tav they used to read Rosh Chodesh, and I meant to say that only Ein Tav do you read Rosh Chodesh. The rest of the localities you read specifically that the laning of Ta'anis, even though it's Rosh Chodesh. But Ein Tav, since that's the place where they make Rosh Chodesh, right? So I did in Yodin do Reish Yarcha. It denotes Rosh Chodesh, meaning I think what it means is that they want to publicize that they made Rosh Chodesh. So therefore, according to Rosh Chodesh, there they land the Rosh Chodesh landing with Sharko Makomos. Any other place, according to Brachos Uklos, they read the Brachos Uklos, which is landing of the Ta'anis.
Why wouldn't they read both? Take out two separate.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't do. Maybe they never did that. I don't know. When we get to Megillah, that's where you had that.
What about Rosh Chodesh and Hanukkah?
Yeah, we take out two. I understand. I don't know why. I don't know why you couldn't take out two. It's a good question. I don't know.
And the question would come up: which would they read first?
Yeah.
Rosh Chodesh. That's Tadir.
Yeah, it's totally right. I don't know. It's a good question. Why I don't know why they didn't come up with the 8 of 2. Maybe Masech and Megillah will reveal something to us. Tani. Tishbav Shechal Yeres Erev Shabbos. When Tishbav comes at Erev Shabbos, Oichel Afilu Beitz Achas. You got to eat something before Shabbos begins, and even one egg. V'shoytz Afilu Kol Sechad, and drink even one cup. Kadesh Lo Yikoretz to Shabbos Munan, or they shouldn't come to Shabbos afflicted. It's not their church to come to Shabbos and you're ravenously hungry. Okay. V'radiv Rabbi Yehuda, that's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. Rabbi Yehuda said, "No, misanam mir mashlim. No exceptions. You fast until nightfall." Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Ami, Bar Cheskel, B'Shem Rav said, Allah can be shomer and misanam mashlim. You have to finish the Ta'anis. The law, my loch, Rabbi Yossi. Why say loch like Rabbi Yossi? Rabbi Yossi wanted to say you have to finish the Ta'anis. He's tiny, machlit v'chachamim. I'll tell you, because some people switched around the names of the Bryce and had it as chachamim being the ones who said that you're mashlim. So therefore, just said that loch is like whoever said you're mashlim. Now here's the story. It's not clear exactly how to read this story, but the gist of the story is that Rabbi Zir B'Shem Rav. Oh no, we didn't start the story yet. Tell you. Rabbi Zir B'Shem Rav Chuda said, "I feel yochid goes out a lot sometimes, even individual to keep upon himself a Ta'anis. But Erev Shabbos b'sanam mashlim, even individual has to finish his fast." Now comes the story that's not clear. The gist of the story is that somehow or another it's going to prove that an individual who took upon himself a fast has to fast till nightfall. Okay, and I will try and translate it to the best of my ability, but it's a little bit unclear. Kada, it's like this Meiser. Rabbi Bibi Aviyasa Kun Rabbi Yasa. Rabbi Bibi is sitting in front of Rabbi Yasa, and it seems they're both fasting an optional fast on a Friday. Ba Melech Minei Hadin Uvda. So he wanted to learn from him this halacha. Now therefore he wanted to. Rabbi Bibi wanted to learn from him by testing him out. So he said, let's go to my house for a while. In other words, let's eat. It was right before nightfall. So he said, Rum Shahi, is it nightfall already? In other words, can we go eat? So he said, Is betano? What, you're at Ta'anis? It's Erev Shabbos. We have to go eat before Shabbos begins. So he said, Iskarbi turmusin. No, he said, I can't eat yet because I'm waiting for my legumes to be done. They're not ready yet. In other words, he had like a chulin for Friday night. So they have to be, you have to wait till they're finished. So he said, I see what you're trying to tell me. You're really saying, Umashlimin Rabbi Yossi, that even though it's Erev Shabbos, you still have to complete the fast like Rabbi Yossi said. Okay, so it's a strange episode. But guess you have to have been there, but somehow they figured out that it meant you have to fast till nightfall.
What about other preparations for Shabbos, like washing?
Everything else you could do. It's just the, So I guess that's what Davis is. Say the tiny.
No, but this was Tisha B'Av.
No, it's a private fast.
Okay. All right, then I'm asking, what about if Tisha?
I know about Tisha B'Av. It's a good question. I assume also it'd be Doicha because it's the Rabban Tisha B'Av, but I don't know for sure. Okay, say the Tani Yosailu. This is all the order which we gradually build up the Ta'anesim, and we make 13 in a row, each of which is the 3 series. As they're getting successively more severe, that's only in the first reign. However, if there's been a rain already, but there's a blight, so immediately you go to the highest level of Ta'anis, which is with the truest from the get-go. So too, there have been more than 40 days since the last rain. You immediately go to the highest level of Ta'anis with the shofar, because in Eshu Makas Batzoritz it's a sign that there is a plague coming to the world, a plague of famine. Ezu miyad shalhen. What is miyad? Does it mean the next day? Ramar sheni v'chamishi v'sheni. No, you have to wait till Monday. Doesn't mean if we see it happening on Tuesday, so make a fast on Wednesday, or even on Wednesday, make a fast on Thursday. You have to wait till Monday. Shana b'sheni. What about if the blight starts on Monday? Can you start on Thursday at least? No. Rabbi Zir Rabbi Zir learned out from here that you don't have to. The Malach said to Daniel, Al Tirot, Daniel, do not be afraid. From the first day that you prepared your heart, to understand, to fast before God your Lord, from then on your words were heard. So therefore you see, you don't actually have to fast, you have to be makabel upon yourself the fasting, because from the first time he intended to do so. So therefore, in fact, what we say is, if it's a Monday, you can't fast that Thursday. You decree on that Monday a fast for next Monday. It's as if you started fasting already.
It's like the Bert Kahn philosophy.
If you could do it right, then it's as if it's done. The Kahn became a Shanosta based on Nafsh and Lassos ones, based on they put their souls into it to do it. Kamisha also, it's as if they did it. Tani, we learn Kashem Shemasmin Alim B'Sharim Yumei Shvuah. Just like, I should preface this. This is an amazing Gemara. We're about to learn is an amazing, stunning, remarkable Gemara. Is that enough of a drum roll? Okay. Tani, Kashem Shemasmin Alim B'Sharim Yumei Shvuah. Just like we make the major fast with a trua any other year of the Yumei Shvuah means any other year of Shemitah, right? Kach Masrin Aleim B'Shvis. So too on Shemitah you do the same thing. You make the ultimate fast. And it's necessary for getting the rain. Why? Or to avoid blight. Why is that? In order to sustain others. What's it mean to sustain others? Chavraya, the Bnei Yeshiva army, they say in order to support the goyim. That's not the biggest thing yet. In order to support the sinners. In other words, we're actually fasting the whole 10 yards in order to get rain for either goyim or people who are mechalei shmita. For them, we're fasting. Okay? Aser vizir Rebbe, so the following Maisa will have Seira going like Rebbe, with the Chavraya Korai Pinchas Ben Yor. So the Rebbe Zira is going like Rebbe, who said you do it, who's Rebbe Zira said you fast for the sinners, is Karebi. The Rebbe Zira, the Chad Sapar, so he was either a teacher, a sefer, or a barber. It's not clear which one, Sapor or Sofer. So he was chashed to do work with Perush Shmita, right? As soon as Gabi Rebbe, so they brought him to Rebbe to punish him, right? Because he's a criminal. Amalon, so Rebbe said to him, Aluba, what can this poor fellow do? Bnei Chayav hu of it. He's Ubayot said, I'm sorry, maybe Aluba Ubani, what can this poor fellow and his kids do, right? Chayav, he has to do this in order to support himself. So he's actually saying, obviously he was a Malami, he must have been a Malami because he wasn't making enough money. So he said, what can you do? He has to make money to support himself, and therefore you actually didn't punish him for transgressing Shemitah. An amazing concept. Now the Carbonator says that it's because of Rebbe L'Shita, so Rebbe really wants me matter Shemitah Bismanazeh. Because he held it's only the Rabbanan, and people are in dire straits. Let's just be matir it. So the Rabbanan didn't let it get away with it, as we'll see in a moment. But nonetheless, he refused to make a mechah against the people who are transgressing Shemitah. It's an amazing concept, right? So the Chavraya said that we don't help the people who are sinners. We don't pray for them. But we do pray for the goyim. They're like Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, because Rebbe boy Shmita, Rebbe wanted to be Mata Shmita, as I just told you. Solik Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair lekabes. Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair came to him. Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair was Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai's son-in-law. Amalei, he said, Rebbe said to Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, my boy Avdan, how's the grain doing? It was a Shemitah year. Now, during Shemitah you can't eat the grain. Even grain which grows wild you can't eat because it has a din of sfichim. It's prohibited. Even the wild growth is prohibited, except under very specific conditions. So he said to him, well, how's the grain doing? In other words, what he's saying is, I want to be matir the grain. I want to be matir Shemitah. Amalei, so Rabbi Pinchas said, ocean yafos. The cabbages are doing okay. Now, cabbages are mutter, they're not called sfichim. So he said, so he's alluding to him, you can't ask me about the grain because it's Shemitah, and I'm not agreeable with you to cancel Shemitah. Again he asked him, Umay B'raya Avdin, what's doing? And again he answered him, Amalei Ocean Yafos. He said, the cabbages are doing okay. You are the Rebbe delays to Maskamini. So Rebbe knew that he didn't agree with him. He doesn't want to be Mater Shemitah. Amalei, so he said, okay, I lost this battle, but Mishkach Rebbe, can you pay attention? Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair said, Rebbe said to Pinchas ben Yair, Mishkach Rebbe, can you, Mishkach literally means can you focus or pay attention, but here it means, will you grant me this request? Mashkiach my request, Mechlima to eat with me, Petel Tzivchar, a little bit. Petal it's not clear exactly. Petal means everybody here has a different interpretation. It's not the modern word petal, which means raspberry, but it means a slice of something or a little meal, whatever. Can you eat with me something a little bit? Yomadain, Amalei in. So Petal says yes, I'll come eat. Now, this might have brought down the Bavli, but it's much longer in the Yerushalmi. Minachas, when they came to Rebbe's house, Chama Mulaisa the Rebbe came, he saw Rebbe's mules there. And we know Rebbe's mules were very dangerous mules. It's Gemara and Chulin. They were white mules, and if they hit somebody, it was very dangerous. Omar, so he said, so Rabbi said, Kol Elaine, Yudai Zayin, and all these animals, Yehuda is feeding. And I'm going to go eat in his house. In other words, it's a bad house. He's feeding animals which are dangerous. So Rebbe said, "Oh boy, maybe he doesn't want to see me anymore." Min kedun shamun kale, and when other people were standing around, meantime other people heard Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair saying, "Yeah, I don't want to see him anymore." So Oz and Varmalei, so they went and told Rebbe that Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair doesn't want to come eat by you, doesn't want to see you anymore because he saw your donkeys. Shalach Rebbe boy mefaisti. So Rebbe sent a message and wanted to appease him. Now, at that point, this point, the Maisim diversion, the Bible, it says, Gava Tura Beinayu. It's a mountain grew between the two of them. And it says that Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, Rebbe said, was Bacha, and said, if in this world it happens this way, so that I'm separated from Pinchas ben Yair, Lachas Kama, and the Yoilam Emes, I'm going to be separated from him. Okay, that's what it says in the Bavli. The Yerushalmi has a completely different story. The Yerushalmi continues. So they said, Sholach Rebbe Feiste. Rebbe sent him a message and wanted to be advised him they should come back after he left. Motum Bey Gabi Karte. So the messengers came and found him in his city. Alright, so he said, I don't want to go. B'nei Karti Kurvinli, I have my people in my city, where Pinchas ben Yair says, and they're my close to me, and I don't want to leave them. So Nachum B'nei Karte, So in the meantime, the people of the city, they saw emissaries were going to take Pinchas ben Yair around. So they came down Vakfi 11. They surrounded him. They wanted to prevent the emissaries from taking Pinchas ben Yair away. Amrulon, so the emissaries said to them, Rebbe, Amrulon, Rebbe, do boy mephaiste. So Rebbe wants to make peace with Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair. The people of the city heard that. Shavkine, they left Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair alone. They left him alone. They left him because they're not going to go and protect Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair from being appeased by Rebbe. Rebbe is the Nasi, right? Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair should go. That's what they thought. Amar, so Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair still go. He said, "Bonai dili korvinli. I have my children here. I want to stay with my children. I don't want to go back to Rebbe." So Nachtas Eshem in Shmaya. At that point, a fire came down from the heavens, and surrounded Pinchas ben Yair and his kids, and the emissaries couldn't talk to them anymore. Karmei said maybe he died then, but certainly they could. They had to give up at that point, whether he was dead or alive. Chazav Amar Rebbe, so they came back and told Rebbe. Amar, so he said, since I was not zoicha to eat with him in this world, nizkei, I will be zoicha v'nishma minei, and I'll hear from him. In other words, I'll get together with him la'amadasi in the Olam Haba.
It's the opposite.
The exact opposite. So Tzaddik speaks about this at length. I actually didn't look it up today, but I've seen in the past. So Tzaddik speaks about length about the difference between Jabab and the Yerushalmi, and he says that in fact the Rebbe Pinchas ben Yair was absolutely wrong to not go and eat by Rebbe, and how he got to eat by it's the Tainer of Pinchas ben Yair that he didn't go, because it's true. Okay, Rebbe has chesroinus, but so what? Everybody has chesroinus. Nobody's perfect, so you educate him. You deal with him. It seems that Rebbe was a young man at the time, or not yet fully developed. So in fact, since the Tainer of Pinchas ben Rebbe understood that. I don't remember how he reconciles Baal to Yerushalmi. I think he says that maybe the episodes happen at two different times, or maybe it's just trying to tell us what the Yerushalmi's perspective on it. But the bottom line is that, in fact, in the course of time, Rebbe grew to the point where he even exceeded Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair in greatness, and therefore he understood that he in the Olam Emes they'll be of equivalent stature. I'm not doing Reb Tzaddik justice. I really should look it up. I forgot this afternoon when I get home to look it up. That's the truth. But he does speak about the difference between the Mites and the Baal and the Yerushalmi at great length. If I remember, I'll look for it tomorrow. Okay.
There's more Achdus in the Yerushalmi, in this case. I don't know if
in the end, they didn't eat together anyway. It's a question of Rebbe's attitude towards the case. Okay. If enough rain came down for vegetation, Avalol Elan, but not for trees. Le'elan for the trees, Avalol Tzmachim, but not for the vegetation. Lazelus have enough came for this and that. Avalol Borsich Lemoris, but not for filling up the cisterns, the dugouts, and all the water supplies. Masina Le'miyad, it's raining, but it's not raining enough. You immediately go to the highest level of Ta'anis. What's the case where it comes down enough for vegetation but not for trees? Tzivcha, where it comes down very, very gradually. What's the case where li'ilan avalot tzmad is enough for trees but not enough for vegetation? Sagin, a lot. The lot comes down, not a lot. It comes down in torrents. But it's it's possible to have for this and for that of some gradual and torrents, but still not enough to fill up the cisterns. So there are three types of rain, right? There's a little, but a little comes down gradually, a little comes down in torrents, and then there's either one coming down, a lot of it, which will fill up all the water supplies. Okay, so if any of them are not working out, Masiyan Lemiyad. Time to Maswina Le'ilam Bifrosa Pesach. You make the fast on the trees just before at the beginning of Nisan, right before Pesach. And the reason for that is because that's when the trees need water most, because that's when they start budding, right around Nisan time. So therefore, if there's no water by then, you need to make a trua for them. If there's no water for the cisterns, then you do it befros atzeres. You do it. Fros means 15 days before, half a month. You do it 15 days before Shavuos. 15 days before Shavuos, but if by that time your systems are not full, you're in deep trouble. Well, the thing is, this is a very difficult Gemara because it doesn't rain anymore around Shavuos time. So
want it to rain.
Right. So there are two other interpretations one could give you. One interpretation one could give, which I would give, it says you do it till Shavuos and then you have 15 days before Shavuos and you give up. It's already too late. You can keep on praying for rain for the cisterns for your water supply until 15 days before Shavuos, but by then, if nothing came, ain't nothing coming. There's no point in continuing. That's one way we could learn it. Another possible way of learning it is the way the Torah and Yerushalmi says here is that Atzeres here means Shmini Atzeres. And that 15 days after Shmini Atzeres, you can already start fasting on the highest level for your bar sichin and oros, for your water supply, because I guess you've depleted through the summer months and you need to have it replenished as soon as possible, and if it hasn't rained by then, you're in deep trouble. Okay? Says if you're so desperate, so go even so fast even beyond these allotted times. Right? Which sounds like a little bit like Atzeres' Taki or Shavuos. So it says more Maisa Nisim. No, to fast beyond these allotted times is Maisa Nisim. It won't rain past this allotted time, and so you don't Maisa Nisim. You do not declare a fast to demand an ace. It's an interesting perspective. I think nowadays I don't know if nowadays we conduct ourselves accordingly, because I think we daven like for cholim. Maybe cholim are different, because the Gemara says in the Bavli, he says a person should not refrain from davening even if a sword is against his neck. So that could be. So I don't know if that's talking about a choila, because it sounds like it's a case of danger other than sickness. Right, because it's a sword, right? But nowadays we daven, I think, for cholim, even if it would take a miracle to heal them. So I'm not sure if that's in line with this Yerushalmi over here. I don't think anybody speaks about it here, not that I know of, but see, it says here they don't daven for this.
Well, rain is derech hateva, so you don't.
Yeah, but
necessarily want a nace, ask for a nace that's mechutz l'teva. While chola.
Yeah, maybe you're right, man. Yeah, the whole thing maybe is divine. I don't know exactly. You're right. What could be mechalik? Right, Brecha Rabbi Chavo, Papa Shem said, interesting theological thing here. Sometimes rain comes down in the schus of one person. We know that by Chonei Ma'agel, right? B'schus Esav Echad, in the schus of one blade of grass. B'schus Sod Echad, in the schus of one field. It's interesting because this is really the concept of mazel, that it's possible that there's a schus not for the person, but a schus for a blade of grass. A certain blade of grass has a destiny. Who knows? 50 years from now, maybe this blade of grass, some tzaddik will come along and its cow will eat it. No, it's not. It's not Hasidic. It's very much in Tashkocha Pratis, though, right? Which means that there's a specific mazel for every. Like the Gemara says, I think it's a medrash actually. So it's a similar idea. In other words, there's a specific hashgacha on even blades of grass. Right, which the Rambam really doesn't hold of. The Rambam says hashgacha, except on human beings, is very general. But it seems here that there's very specific hashgacha. The Rambam could faren for this too. He could have the way out of it. But in any event, it says here a pasuk. Shlosha pasuk here, they're all one pasuk. Mitar geshem yitain lohem. Rain shall give to them each esav basod, to a man, to grass, to the field. Liish avlo anashim, to one man, not many people. Esav to grass, avlo asavi, not many grasses. Basada to a field, avlo basada, not a series of fields. V'chein ir shelo yardo leg shabi. A city upon which rain has not fallen when its environs have gotten rain. There's one city which is a shlamazel, right? Kakasuv, it says v'imtarti el yarachas. I caused rain to fall in one city. To another city, I will call. There will not be rain. So this happens. One plot gets rain. And the plot which does not rain. its leaves will wilt. Also, yeah, that city misana, it goes fast, misras, and it also blows shofar immediately. Chos will say all the city and its environs, misano stay fast, blow masrias, but they do not blow shofar, right? Because they're obviously they're linked, commercially to that city, and also perhaps in Mazel, but it's not as bad for them, and because they have rain, so therefore they just have a tinus and no trua. They make trua avolo misanas, but not tinus. On Rabbi Simon said, "Ksiv, saying same because you're in the Mishnah. Tati elachas." Oh, being rain on one town, to another town, not. One portion, one field will get rain, and the field which does not get rain, its leaves will wilt. Like we said in Amrav, the merit of the field causes it to get rain. Again, merit of the field obviously has to do with its future usage, but not necessarily something to do with the grass itself, but rather it could be that the field has some ultimate purpose which is caused to get rain, even the people are not meritorious. This is another theological issue. Why does it rain? Why can we get all our water from rivers or from lakes? Why did Kosh Baruch Hu make there be rain? It's interesting, right? We know that the Kormei puts the water vapor goes up to heaven anyway. That's what causes the rain. Why bother? Just have the water. Anger to focus on the land. Anger means to stop the rain. Bavon poskim b'rabim beinam nos name. How we know about the not fulfilling your pledges. Minayin nesim v'ruach. It says clouds and wind. V'geshemayim, but the rain is not coming. Why? Because ish misal b'chamasar sheker. People are taking pride in false gifts. In other words, in making alleged nedavas and not fulfilling them. Clouds or water vapor are called by 5 names. Aid of Onan Nosi Chaziz. Aid Minayin, how do we know it's called Aid? It says for Aid Yal Minort, it says water vapor rose from the land. At the beginning of Sefer Bereshis, that's what water Gan Eden. Av, why is it called Av? Shuma Avasoki, it thickens the heavens. Clouds thicken the heavens, right? They're not clear like blue sky. And then it says, we see a cloud is called an Av from that pasuk. Anan, why is it called Anan? It makes the people humble towards each other. In other words, the way the Kormei gives 2 reasons here. One is that people can say hello to each other when it rains, but it doesn't rain. It says after the Minashe La Sholem, people are not as friendly to each other. Halachically, they're barred from being so friendly if it's not raining properly. Another one is it makes people humble towards each other. As I said before, if there would not rain, if there wouldn't be clouds and rain, so the Baalei Zra would take over the water supply. What prevents them and literally makes them humble is the fact that there's rain, and that's why it's Anan, Milashon Anav, right? Anan means humbling. Also, this was in the Bavli. Nasi. Why is a cloud called a Nasi? Shows the Baalbatik in the sea, and makes simple people rich like princes. We see where it's called the Nasi Malen Nasi Miksei Oretz. So rain is good for people's crops. Chaziz, why is it called Chaziz? That's Shul says Chazionos, because it makes the sky into different images, right? Because obviously each cloud is shaped differently, and there's some partially cloudy days and not some fully cloudy days. So different appearances in the heavens. And a passage which tells us that a cloud is called Chaziz. Chaziz Hashem Oseh Chazizim. The Chosfield said, so Tanakama said, when one city has a problem, and its environment's fast, but they do not make a trua. Why that way? The precedent is Yom Kippur when we make a fast, but we don't make a trua. We keep them the opposite. They make a trua, but they don't fast. Why? What's his precedent? Rosh Hashanah. Because of Rosh Hashanah, that's the way we work it. So it's interesting. One could darshan upon this at length. I'm not going to. Don't worry. Now Rosh Hashanah, for the people around the city, for them they're not in the same dire straits. But since they're afflicted tangentially, so therefore what's the stats like Rosh Hashanah that they're in din right now, because they're affiliated with this city, or it's like Yom Kippur, they have to do tshuva. but it's not in any event, even whether it's for the people who are actually suffering, it's both Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, right? For them, they have to do tshuva and they're in din at the moment, so that's they have the double whammy. V'chein here, now, forsaking rain, v'chein here shesh podever. If you see it's a pestilence or marpolis or avalanches, so I guess like it's an earthquake, Osarim Bisana Masras, that's he does both. The Chosrios, and again the environs, Misanis lo Masrios, they do Ta'anis and not Trua. Akiva Masrios lo Misanis, the same Malchus said before, Trua, not Ta'anis. Most of it Tzipori. There was death in Tzipori. Well, I guess a plague. Lo hava olio go ashokaka. The plague did not enter the marketplace. Dav Rabbi Chanina Shargave, where Rabbi Chanina was living. His street was safe. So the people in the rest of the party said, they said, "Ha! Ma hein sabo beinechi. What is this old man among us? The Yasif Ishlam, who shchunte, he sits a piece, he and his neighborhood, Umtinas and the rest of the country, also the Bishus is going off the deep end and going into bad fate." So they were upset. Why doesn't he protect the rest of us? So, what?
I was going to say that's similar to what the Goyim said during the Black Plague, but they accused the Jews of poisoning.
So it's interesting. This goes on here. Of Amar Komein, so he went and he said to them, you should know, Zimri Echor Hoya B'dor was a very stark Musri here. He said, there was one Zimri in the generation of Pinchas. The Naflu Mi Yisrael Chavtalaf, and 24,000 Jews died. Avonu here Tzipori, Kama Zimri Yesh B'dor Reinu. We got a lot of Zimris here. Right? Vatem Yisrami, and you're upset that people are dying, or you're shocked. One day, another time, they need to make a Ta'anis because the rain wasn't coming. So Rabbi Shua did not live in Tzipori, made a Ta'anis in the south, wherever he lived. The rain came down. So again, the Tzipori guys, they were upset. They said, Rabbi Shua ben Levi machas mitra d'Ramai. Shua ben Levi fasts and brings rain to the south. Rabbi Chanina, our tzaddik, otzar mayim in Tzipori. He stops the water in Tzipori. They're still mad at him. So tzarchem abed's mantinyanus. They need to make another fast. So this time, Rabbi Chanina couldn't take it anymore. Shalach vayis Rabbi Shua ben Levi. So listen, Rabbi Shua ben Levi, can you please come? Armalei, so he sent a message, Mishkach Mori. Again, it literally means to focus, but here it means, could you do me a favor, Maple Kimon, and come with us, Lisanos, to make a fast. Now, contrary that the brother of Yerushalmi Levi went out to the public, public square for the fast. Flo Nachas Mitra, the rain didn't come anyway in Tzipori. Oh, so Rabbi came into the people of Tzipori, but Amar came in and said to them, you see, guys, Lo Rabbi Shua ben Levi machas mitra d'Ramai. He didn't bring rain in the south. Lo Rabbi Chanina atzar mitra min Tzipori, and I didn't stop the rain from Tzipori. El d'Ramai, the guys in the south, libon rachich, they have soft hearts. V'shamei milah d'oraisa, and they listen when somebody tells them abitzel Torah. Umiskanin, and they subjugate themselves. But Tzipori, libon kashi, you guys have tough hearts. And you hear Torah, and you don't subjugate yourselves. So therefore, you see, it's not me, it's you guys. Because even when I brought you Rabbi Shua ben Levi, the renowned rainmaker, it didn't come because you guys are tough fellows.
Well, it's obvious, the south is more drier than the north. You'd expect it.
Yeah, but it's not that far south. These are all in the Galil. It's the Galil Elyon and Galil Tachton. Because there are no Jews in Yerushalayim and south at this time already. At the time. Yeah, no, it's not relatively speaking. It's relatively speaking, not the far south. Mialia, when it came, nevertheless, when Rabbi Chanina came in again, or out again, wherever he went, Toleina, he lifted up his eyes, v'chama avir shayf, he saw the air was clear. Armei said, Ad kaduna achein, until now you're like this. No, it's too much. It's saying to the heavens, you have to rain. Miyad nachas mitra. Immediately it started raining. But he was upset himself. But Nadak made the low Mebaken, he took a net and not to do that again. He saw he could bring rain, but he took a net and not to do it again, right? Tuvan, a second time. Amr said, "Ma ona meimer lemari chayva." Who am I to tell the creditor that he shouldn't take back his debt? In other words, it's chutzpah for me to come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and complain, because obviously the people were stinkers. It's Hashem's right to come and punish them any way he wants. Okay? Rabbi Zira B'Shem said, "Ma yasu g'dolei ador." This is this perspective of Rabbi Chanina. We just mentioned. This is Rabbi Zira quoting him. What can g'dolei ador do? They had tzibor nido now charubo. It's not their fault. The community is judged by their majority, not by the individuals who lead them. All its 38 years that Am Yisrael were like in Cherem, because of the Chet Meraglim, Loya Medabrim Moshe Hashem, they're not speaking with Moshe. Shemar says only Vayika Asher Tamu Kol Anshe Milchama. Only and all the people of the warriors died. Lomos Ukher Machne. Only then Maksibas would say afterwards, Vaydaber Hashem Elai Lamar Hashem spoke to me. Rabbi Yaakov Ra'idi B'Shem Rishon ben Levi said, it's the same idea. See, Rabbi Chanina and Rishon ben Levi both came to the same conclusion, because they were both at the Tzipori, and they both saw that even though they were both there, the two big guys, they couldn't bring the rain because the Tzipori guys were rotten stinkers. Why? Because it said, Ma'asuk Doli Dor Vein Tzibor Niyon El Charubo. Am Yisrael is only judged by its majority. Shekem Matzana, we found Shulei Am Yisrael Bar Carmel Hashem Elokim, where Am Yisrael themselves not to have said God is the Lord. Lo Yorda Eish Min Hashemayim, the fire would not have come down from the heavens. The sorfer of Korbanos and burnt the Korbanos which Eliyahu brought. It's interesting because they said Hashem Elokim after the Korbanos were brought. So I don't know exactly what his point is. I guess what he's trying to say is that it was important that already beforehand they were attuned to this, and that's why Eliyahu had this chus that the nace occurred. Otherwise, the nace would not have occurred. But it's a funny kind of Gemara. All right. I think we'll stop here for tonight.
Suppose they attitude after the rain, the people in the Tzipor.
It's not recorded. It doesn't say. It doesn't say.
They did tshuva,
They were still stinkers, and no, it's not clear. Sorry,
Yeah,